How are
Long
you?
time no see.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Not much. Not much at all.
I like your hat.
Thanks. Gravity Falls.
Oh, I'm not familiar with Gravity Falls. Like I know of the cartoon, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, you need to, my
I,
friend.
I thought it was a blue tree on your
It
hat.
is. It
Oh, it
is.
is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's from Gravity Falls. This is the hat that Dipper wears in the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
you need to check it out. And for loyal listeners, you are hearing it here on Two Guys Talking Toys that Gravity Falls is a cartoon that you have to watch. I have the DVD set, Tom. I will loan it to you.
oh, fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. So have you found anything new? I look
Yeah.
forward to hearing whether or not you have rescued something from a parking lot because I know that I actively do not do that.
No, I haven't found anything other than those couple of loyal listener rescues a couple of weeks ago. Uh, I got the newest Final Faction, those guys
Oh,
from Dollar Tree. And last time I talked about them, as I'm recalling it now, I may have said Dollar General, but it's Dollar
oh,
Tree.
oh! I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but for some reason there's an itch in the back of my head as I was ready to say that I may have said Dollar Tree. I mean Dollar General, but it's Dollar Tree.
Is Dollar
So
General an actual thing? Or is
yeah,
that?
in the South. It's in the South a lot.
Oh,
It's got a yellow sign. It's basically Dollar Tree, but with a different color sign.
you're gonna get some
Um,
angry calls from Dollar General. Like, where are all these people coming in here acting for Final Fraction?
right as
What they're talking
Final
about?
Faction. But they released a robot, kind of Gundam looking, but smaller.
Mhm.
But he's translucent.
Oh, that is very nice. I need him.
It
I,
is.
I gotta get him.
Yeah, you don't have to because I picked one up for you. I
That's even
splurged.
better.
I splurged the extra $1.25 for this guy for you, Tom. But look
That
how cool
looks
he is. And he's
awesome.
got all the holes
Mhm.
because I told you they do the expansion packs like accessory packs. So you could get like a little jetpack for him and all kinds of stuff. But he's very cool looking. I like the translucent stuff they're putting on there.
I,
He looks like the Amber from Jurassic Park.
oh, yeah, that's true. He's full of prehistoric mosquitoes.
Right, right. Dino DNA.
He's the one they send in to all whenever they're down south. They gotta go through the swampy area. Like
Yeah.
Ambertron, go in there. And he's like, but why?
Yeah, and he's well made. Like he's heavy. He's got
Mhm.
some bulk, and he's got the 5 points of articulation. I
How
like this
tall?
guy.
How tall is he?
Uh, he's a little taller than the 3 3/4 inch
Oh,
guys.
okay,
If I had
okay.
an example, ah, I have the Zartan reaction. So
Oh, okay. Oh, not
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Not
he's
bad at
got some
all.
some
Oh,
cool
I'm
size to
looking
him.
forward to getting my hands on that extra.
Yeah, and this could be the handler for your Final Faction Robo Dog. Like he could be.
They need to make some sort of combination packs you can attach Robo Dog to that robot. Also, make a clear Robo Dog. I won't stop you.
That, I will not stop you.
I won't stand in your way, Final Faction. If you want to make a whole wave of clear translucent figures, that'd be great.
What a benevolent dictator you are, Tom.
Some of those.
I would not I would not use all the power that I wield to stop you from doing that. So did you get anything new?
I did. So I don't know if you had seen on Amazon, this was a while ago. They had randomly tossed up a comic accurate version of Gore the God Butcher. Um, yeah,
No, I did not see that
yeah,
because I would have purchased said gore.
he popped up on Amazon.
I can't wait to
Pre-order
see it.
pre-orders were out for a little bit. They sold out. So I got all jittery and I was like, oh no, I need
I had
gore
the
because
movie
he's
version. I had the movie version here, but I moved
uh,
them downstairs. I was going to
I
compare with you.
I kept staring at the movie version and staring. It's like this. I hate this. I hate this version of him. So
Yeah, somebody picked it up for me
mhm.
as a gift, but
I saw him when he was
Yeah,
on sale.
what they did
Uh,
with Gore was weird, but I can't wait to
so-
see this one.
Yeah, so I missed him on Amazon, and then I immediately went to our new buddy, yours and mine, AliExpress, and they had the God Butcher on sale. So I ordered him. I forgot about it, and then about 3 weeks later, Gore showed up on my
Oh
doorstep.
my gosh, that is
He's
fantastic.
he's pretty good. I like that he has these strange little almost like chicken pox marks on there with the little red bit as if it's getting
Yeah.
irritated. I was
And
like,
he's got
oh, Gore, what happened to you,
quite the
Gore?
speedo. But that
Yeah,
is
that's part of the reason he's very upset. But he comes with an additional head that
oh,
looks
no way.
kind of like the what's his name, the guy from Star Wars that has the
Bib Fortuna.
yes, he's Bib's older, angrier brother, I guess.
Yes.
He comes with the all black, which is really cool,
Oh, that's cool.
especially now that like this is such a
Wait, so
weird,
this was a Marvel Legend?
yes, like actual official Marvel Legend.
Wow.
I got him without his box because that's how the seller provided him, and I didn't care as long as I got
Yeah,
him.
that's
But
cool.
it's a
That
really well
is
done figure,
really well done.
and
And
this
it kind of has a
is
Voldemort look to him too.
yes, with the lack of nose and the
Yeah.
general just put
Sorry,
off
I didn't mean to
misdemeanor.
say his name. Yeah.
Like, wait, what? Gore? No, the other guy.
The other
I don't.
guy.
I'm not related to him. Why keep bringing him up? He hates wizards. He hates Doctor Strange. He's really upset about it. Whenever they
That's a
encounter each
great
other,
figure.
it's really good. And this,
Oh, that is a good find. I didn't even know that existed. Good job.
I really wish that they would.
That doesn't
Uh,
happen very often for either of us. Bravo.
yeah, this was. I like that they. I really like that they did this, and I kind of hope that they continue to do stuff like this. Where I wanted no parts of the movie version of Gore because I was only kind of tempted to get yet another version of the All Black because I like the idea of that weapon, and we now
Mhm.
have Null, so we have like the most, I guess, pure version of that weapon. But
Yep.
I remember seeing it, and I was like, I don't want it. I don't want this. I don't want Christian Bale Gore. I want like comic Gore. But the fact that
I,
they made it and put it out there, even if it was for like a limited amount of time, is
yeah,
awesome.
that's great.
And I
I
would,
think I think the God Butcher in the movie would have been better if it was Alice from the Brady Bunch's boyfriend, Sam. I think it was his name. Wasn't he a butcher?
oh yeah. Also, it would have been nice if Gore the God Butcher, butchered some gods. Just, just
Spoken like a
saying.
true heathen.
Just maybe don't give him that moniker if you're not going to show Thor butchers as the same number of gods on screen as Gore the God Butcher because he has that accidental death or that accidental kill when he meets what's his face in the beginning of the movie, and that
Yeah.
sets him off. And then Thor just kills Zeus. Sorry,
Yeah,
spoilers, people, for a movie that you shouldn't
that
see because it's
movie is
terrible.
spoiled. But you're right. Yeah. Gore's name should have been Gore the
The every villain that appears in every movie when you
the
want to attempt to
melancholy
make them
dad.
relatable. Yeah,
Gore the melancholy dad.
I just it just made me sad, that whole thing. But this figure makes me happy because it actually really looks like Gore.
That's
It's
a
very
great
well
find.
done.
That's a great figure. I want it.
Very very nice. We'll make that happen. We'll work on that. We'll make it happen.
You're right.
So I am going to put Gore with he's going to hang out on the top shelf with all my cosmic villains because
Cosmic guys.
that is the special part of the display that all the cosmic people go into, which brings me to this week's topic. Dana,
Oh, I love it.
how do you display your figures? And by display, I mean, what do you put them in?
Right.
How do you set it up? And not even like we've discussed in the past the like we both have our own personal quirks when it comes to setting things up on the shelving units. Right. But I'd like to know how do you go about, like, what is your preferred kind of setup for your display and then for the items in said display?
Gotcha. So so this is a good one. I like it. Of course I'm gonna, talk about my rigidity and that kind of thing. But so loyal listeners, Tom has mentioned my basement before. So it's, the whole basement is 20 foot by 40 foot, 20 by 40. And I do have one area that is like a small room, like a workshop where I do toy repairs and some things like that. And then there's an area where I keep my I have a collection of reptiles, and they're in there. So we're talking about a 30, you know, 30 length by 20 width area that's enveloped in toys. So the shelves are 6 feet tall, and there's the top shelf, and there's the floor level. So there's 4 shelves in all. There's the top, and 3, and then the bottom, and they are 2 foot by 4 foot by probably 2 foot. So
Yeah,
uh,
it's almost like museum level. Like
yeah,
the amount of display space is something that you would see in like a more of a kind of a professional style setup to get maximum display exposure, maximum footage.
right. And there are 16 of those units, I think.
Fantastic! I applaud this.
And so each unit, so there are 16 big units times 5 smaller units. So it's a 4 foot by 2 foot deep footprint, and each one of those footprints has some sort
It,
of title, if you will, or category or theme. So
and it just rings around the entire basement.
yeah,
It is a sight.
uh, and so of course there are the Marvel Legend ones, the G.I. Joe classifieds. Then I got enough of those where there's the Joes and the Cobras, and then there's the He-Man shelf, which is the vintage stuff, the 2000X stuff, the the Netflix, and then the Revelation. Those are there. And there's the
Mhm.
Thundercats shelf, which is so those are kind of obvious as to what those themes are. But then there's a unit that is dedicated only to Playmates stuff. So that shelf has, you know, Dick Tracy and the Toxic Crusaders, and like those sort of same sized kind of things in there. And but
So,
Tom, unlike you, I don't have they're not set up because I have so many.
mhm,
So many. So like one of those units, those 4 foot by 2 foot units with Marvel Legends on it,
mhm.
and I have begun tiering them.
Okay.
So and what I did was I was looking for the cheapest way, because you could buy tiers, but none of them were 4 foot wide.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
if
they're pretty.
so I could find a foot and a half, 2 foot, but I couldn't find 4 foot, and they weren't cheap.
Mhm.
So I wanted to find something lightweight, affordable, and something I could manipulate the dimensions on. So I found at Home Depot the 1.5 or 2 inch panels, which are 4 foot by 8 foot insulation, the pink ones, the pink
Okay.
things. And then you could cut them. They're 4 foot wide, so they fit the shelf, and I could cut them to every width I want. So I
Oh,
could cut
that's
a
a good
wide
idea.
one, and then I
Mhm.
could cut one half that length, and then I have 2 more tiers. So I
Oh,
have
so
the
that's
flat shelf and then
mhm,
2 tiers. So on a shelf, on one of those 4 foot by 2 foot footprints, those
mhm.
units, I could get, just standing regularly, um in some cases, like between 70 and 85 Marvel Legends just
So,
standing on there.
so that's a really good idea because then you can actually eh, literally customize exactly how you want your shelf layout to work
Yeah,
out. Because with the pre-made tiers, you're kind of you're set to whatever their depth and their height is, and
right.
you're by virtue of them being Marvel Legends, and you run into this with kind of I guess anyone who is a bipedal figure. If one of them goes, they all go.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna domino,
And
whether
I
you want them to
considered
or
that
not.
as well because it's
Hmm.
styrofoam.
Yeah.
So if one falls, it'll knock the one delivered, but it'll once it hits the bottom, it doesn't shake the whole shelf because the
Yeah.
styrofoam absorbs that impact. So
Yes.
it really works out really well. And I do have stands, like they're like little
Hmm.
doll stands, like you could
Hmm.
see on Michael Keaton. right there.
Yeah,
You can
especially
see
for the
the
larger figures.
you can
Yeah.
see the white like it's a doll stand.
Hmm.
But there's a gosh, a paw something on eBay. There's somebody who sells the 6-inch ones in
Okay.
boxes of 50,
Hmm.
and they're not badly priced. So for like 10 or 15 bucks, you can get 100 of those type of stands,
Okay.
but for
Oh, that's
six
not
inch
bad.
for 6-inch figures.
That's not bad. I know that Hasbro and I believe NECA eventually, like, they kind of started to get into the jump on that wagon, but it can get pretty pricey pretty quickly, and
Right.
you're not getting a whole lot of stands. That actually sounds like a pretty
And
good price.
these that I
Hmm.
have on all of those figures, you can see the
Hmm.
Joker right there has one. I picked up those at Hobby Lobby,
Okay.
and they were like 250 a piece.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at
No,
all. So from your description, this sounds like what a display should be after you've leveled up and you've gotten all the gems and you filled in the gauntlet. Like, this is kind of like the best end version of a display. So in the time that it took you to get there, or rather, like, taking a few steps back from that, when you first started collecting things, when you started to kind of move beyond, because I feel like as collectors, we all kind of hit that point where we stop with like the actually like playing with our figures, and have decided that it's really cool to just have them there on display.
yeah,
When did that change over, and what were you using as your display? Because none of us, or very few of us, had just ready-made shelves available for
right.
our toys. It was full of like our schoolwork, our books, our clothing, whatever. So how did your journey with the actual display start?
That's a great question. So, the collecting side of it started, I guess, end of middle school, high school, and
Mhm,
I was still living in the same home
mhm.
my whole life in here on the island before moving away to North Carolina. So I still had the basement.
Okay.
So that's where I built the world,
Mhm,
and then everything was displayed sort of like you do. Like you have these fights, and so it
mhm.
was sort of displayed that way in
Yeah.
action. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Only I had like, this area was GI Joe, this area was He-Man, and then I moved to North Carolina, and we had a big room. We called it the playroom because we
mhm,
had a pool table in there, and we had a pinball machine,
mhm.
but it was sizable. Like it was probably 20 by 20 feet.
Yeah.
And so that's when I bought those plastic shelves that I
Mhm.
had, like, those cheap ones that you just with the posts, you pop the four posted and
Oh,
you put the
yeah.
next shelf on. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And I had a bunch of those.
Mhm,
And that was sort of the playroom became playroom slash toy display.
mhm.
Then I went away to college and I couldn't obviously bring a few hundred at that time action figures. And so then I started anew. Like there was a comic book store down the street from school, and I would buy this, that, and the other thing. And then that sort of grew. And then I got my own room at
Mhm.
college, and I took out the bed. I had this
Okay.
great big brown couch. It was ugly. It looked like it just looked like a chocolate bunny couch, but it was long enough for me to lay on. It was very comfortable.
Mhm.
I named it. It was called Sweet Cocoa, and so I got rid of my bed because
Mhm.
no one was ever in the room, and
Yeah.
I
There's no
slept on
need.
the couch. And so the space that was once occupied by my bed then became new shelves, and
Mhm,
and then my college collection began there.
mhm.
Uh and then after college, I was at camp, so I just brought those with me.
Okay.
And I was there for a while. I had a house there, but nothing spectacular in regards to displays. Just those plastic shelves
Mhm,
randomly placed wherever they fit over the house. Um, and things really started to happen when after college I was teaching, and I
mhm.
had an extra bedroom, and
There you go. That.
that's when it really got out of control. And then it moved from the extra bedroom to it had a finished attic
Mhm.
that was completely empty, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
when that happened. And then then I had the lake house in North Carolina, which you'd never seen, but it was a cool house
Mhm.
Whereas I had 2 bedrooms downstairs, 2 baths, and then the upstairs was like a third bedroom, but it was the only room up there. It was one big open room that covered the
Oh,
whole footprint of the house.
that
It
is a
had a
nice blank
bathroom off
canvas.
of it and a deck, and it was carpeted. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
And that was the toy room.
Ah,
And
that's
that
awesome.
and it was nice because it was upstairs and like people could come in and out of the house and never even go up there or know it was up there, you know.
Mhm.
But I had a little table set up in the middle of it, which was my comic book reading table, and all the
Mhm.
shelves were around. But that's, even then, like it was okay, this shelf is dedicated to this kind of figure,
Yeah.
and this one is to this kind of figure. And
Mhm.
I still had that. So I really love the way. So, like, I can see behind you, you've got like a symbiote shelf there, which is
Yes.
all, but then not of all the same collection. You've got all kinds of stuff going on there. So,
Mhm.
like, mine is pretty rigid,
Okay.
and because of the sheer numbers that I have,
Mhm.
it has to be lined up with that tier, or else if I had them set up in poses and this and that, which is what I would love to do, it would just take up way too many shelves.
Oh, I
So
feel
they're
like
just kind of standing there, like, it's like the scene where Darth Vader comes off the shuttlecraft and all the
they're
stormtroopers
they're all at
just
attention.
lined up. So I walk down the stairs pretending I'm Darth Vader, and like that's
just
happening.
just randomly force choking them off the shelf.
Yeah, and then I've got, every one of those units. So like I have all the Toy Biz stuff, like the old
Mhm.
Spider-Man line and the X-Men line. Like, so then there's the Spider-Man, and then there's the X-Men, but there are so many of the X-Men and so many of the Avengers from that
Mhm.
old Toy Biz line. So there's an Avengers unit, right? It's
Yeah.
just the good guys. And then there's the bad guys. And then there's the X-Men. And then there's the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, all the
Mhm.
bad guys. And then there's Spider-Man. Like they each have their own unit, but each one of those units with those 5-inch figures may have 100 figures on it.
Now you have what I consider to be some of the best types of display shelving units. Have you ever considered getting a detolf? Because I know that those are kind of big in the collector community, depending on
Yeah.
I guess like what you're collecting, or just if I've seen some people with their basements and they've got uh, like the fluorescent lighting, and then they've got their detolfs. I
Yeah.
know that I know, and they look nice. They're glass. You don't have to worry about dust quite as much. But to
Right.
me, I my mind goes immediately to those random threads where they're like, "I heard a crash in the middle of the night." And
Yep.
you go downstairs and it's everywhere. Also, they weigh half a ton, and
Yep.
I know for me personally, I know some people just love them and they do look
They look great.
beautiful. But I don't think I could ever I don't think I could ever go with a detail. I
No,
like
and
having them open.
I do have a glass case in the hallway just
Mhm.
outside this room.
Okay.
Um, and it's got um some of the higher end stuff in it, which
Mhm.
I don't want in the basement. The lighting is an issue there. So I've
Yeah.
considered running, they make those LED strands,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
considered just running down the length
Oh, see, that would
of
be really cool.
each shelf.
Mhm.
And it's inexpensive, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
could just run it right along the top and it'll go straight through all the shelves. And
Mhm.
then I could just click it on, the whole room will light up.
Yeah,
Like,
because in a basement display, you run into that that issue with lighting, depending on how much how many
right.
windows you're able to get in there. Uh, and
And the shelves
having
are great, but they're deep. Like it
yeah
allows me to put a lot in there, but I can't
yeah
see, like, they
the
shadow themselves with the lights.
yeah the times that I've been down there, like I it's an impressive display, and it's kind of a shame that you can't like see all the way to the back because
Yeah.
there's so much on there. Oh,
So I
so
want to finish the tiering in each
mhm.
shelf, right? And then I want to go with the LED strips, which would be easy to do. It'd be easy peasy.
Mhm. Now, when you were in, say, like when you were in college, because I know that I still do this. Were you a scavenger like myself, where you would see
Oh,
a set of shells on the side? To this day, even though I have my own money, I have a good place. I can buy whatever I want new without fail. If I'm driving somewhere and I see just random furniture on the side of the road, I can't help myself. I slow down and I do the slow crawl, and then I see shelving
right.
units, and I'm like,
Yep.
ooh, And then I immediately stopped myself, like, you don't need these. Also, you can just buy your own. But I always
Yeah.
remember just finding random stuff. The only kind of enclosed display that I ever had, speaking of the DTOF, and this was the complete opposite of a DTOF, was when I did some time at a Radio Shack, kind of against my will,
Did
but
some time. I was sentenced to,
oh yeah, things weren't working out. I made some bad decisions. I wound up at a Radio Shack.
like, glad you
Uh,
got out on good behavior.
it was a tough haul, man. So when I was working there, it was in that period of time when uh, watches were becoming less of a thing that the stores sold. And do you
Yeah.
remember those watch displays where they were in like that kind of octagon type
Yeah.
display that would sit on top of the counter and you could
And
you
they
could
they
spin the
spun.
dial? Yeah, you
Yeah.
could spin the dial on the bottom and you had the little holders for the watches. We had one of those in the store. And it hit the point where the company decided we were gonna corporate said we're not gonna be selling digital watches anymore, focus on selling cell phones. So my boss, who was just the world's worst tightwad. It was ridiculous. I didn't never wanted to spend a dime on anything store related, much less his employees. Uh, I worked in the stock, so I didn't bring customers up or anything. I was in charge of refilling the shelves with product or getting stuff for the employees. He came to me and he was like, Tom, I need you to empty this out and then toss it in the back or like break it or whatever. And I remember looking at it, and at the time, this was when I was in my heyday of building up my Battle Beast and Laser Beast collection. So I
Mhm.
remember looking at that, and this was maybe like a four
I
or
love it.
five
Some
tier.
of us look back on our prime and we're like, man, I used to be 185 pounds and 7% body fat. And you're like, my heyday, I had
Look,
all the battle beasts.
look, you're never gonna get that back. You're never gonna get,
That's right.
like it goes
You could buy battle beasts.
absolutely. It goes without saying. I know so many people pride themselves in being able to like drink a keg, and I was like, no, my money was better spent on buying anthropomorphic animals wearing armor.
Right. I
Who's the
agree.
real
Money
winner
well
here?
spent.
So, so this thing was about five tiers or so, and I remember saying to him, uh, "I'm just gonna, I'm taking this," and he was like, "Oh, well, if you want it, I'll give you like a real good price on it." And I was like, "You just told me to take this out back and smash
Right.
it. I'm
You should have
taking
just,
this.
yeah, yeah.
I'm taking this. You can't stop me." So I took it, but that display was really cool because I lined up. I was able to get, I think, almost like about 50 or 60 of my favorite beasts in there displayed, and it was really cool to have that sitting in the apartment. And when the sun would come in and light it up, and it looked really cool, and then you could spin it, and it was really cool to be able to just rotate it and have it on that kind of display. um I've seen in some reviews where they have a little rotating disc thing, uh where they put the figure down and they just let it
Yeah, I've
rotate,
seen
and it
that.
looks really cool.
It's
But I
like kind of like, the when they display the car and the
yeah.
price is right.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine having something like that going all the time, but it is a neat little thing to have.
I think that would be cool for my whole house to rotate like that.
Just show it off.
Yeah.
It's a pain to come home with, and then late at night, it's a little pain, bit of a pain to get in, but
Right. It would also be a pain in the backside to keep all the figures on the shelf if my house was rotating.
I also kind of like weird, like non-traditional shelves. Like you pointed out my symbiote shelving. Uh, this is actually in a corner. I wonder if I can
Yeah, the corner
shift it
shelves
a
are
little
cool.
bit. Yeah, I love those. I love that you can, because one of the biggest travesties to
It
me
takes
is
up
to waste.
so it feels like less space being used. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the idea of wasting space in an apartment, in a house, when that could be put towards a display. And it's so
Right.
hard to do cornering. Like your basement is set up really well because you managed to work out having the shelves catty corner to each other and not just have an empty
Right.
square of emptiness. But I love these because you put them in, and it's, like, I like the curve. I like that they're pretty snug, and I don't have to worry about
Tom
anything
likes his
falling in. Or
shelves curvy. I like it.
hey, I cannot lie. So, uh, so what is your like? I know for me, I feel like your display is at its peak. But do you have any? What else would you like to see with your display? Or like, how else would you be interested in setting it up?
I
Where do you
want
go from here?
probably some sort of asylum, but I really would love a room. And this is sort of my dream about when I head back down south someday before
Mhm,
I die, is like almost like a barn, but not like a
mhm,
like I don't want hay laying on the floor. I want an
mhm,
actual floor, but I would love to build shelves,
mhm,
like one continual shelf across
mhm.
the entire length of the building,
Okay.
without the brackets, like,
Yeah.
just build it coming out from the wall and have, like those libraries you see with the ladder that rolls
Yep.
around. I would like, I always dreamed, and this is ridiculous, but I always wanted a silo,
Uh-huh.
like on a farm, like, those big silos
Mhm.
with shelves all the way
Just a
around.
big spiral of shelving.
Yeah, all the way up to the top. And but if I had a barn, it's like the walls in the basement, behind everything is concrete, so you can't really, it's cinder block, so I can't really.
Mhm,
But if I had the struts, like the wooden struts, I could build all the way across and then build that, you know, not as tall. Like I have
mhm.
a lot of wasted space because the shelves are, probably that each one of those spaces is 2 feet tall. And the figures, I mean, it allows me to tear it up, but the
Mhm.
figures, for the most part, are, between 5 and 7 inches, right?
Yeah.
So there's probably a foot, even after the tearing, of wasted space
Yeah.
in each one of those units.
Mhm,
So if I could custom build those shelves all the way around, I could make them a foot apart
mhm,
and have 7 or 8 of them high down the entire length of the wall, 7 or 8 shelves high, a foot
mhm,
apart, the whole length of the room. I would love to be able to do that. But the problem I would run into with that being a continuous unit
mhm.
is the rigidity in my head. I
I was
don't
just getting
have
ready to ask about
I
that.
don't
How would
have
you
I don't have a break. Like I wouldn't be able to say this is the space
Mhm.
for said line or said series, and that would, because you know me, that would be difficult for me. Like, how am I going to break? How am I going to physically divide that up?
Because I have to tell you, I every week that we do this, I feel like you deserve a lot of credit and some applause for the display that you have in the back there. There's so much going on. There's so many different lines.
Right.
What would it take? Because look, and again, the
And after
viewers
you
haven't
ask this
seen.
question, I want to hear about your displays.
Okay, so after spending some time in your basement and checking out the display, I feel like there's enough space where you can set up kind of everybody. If like even if you're doing it by category or by like franchise, and then still have some playroom to be able to set up some battle scenes or whatever. But I
Right.
guess with the way that you kind of tend to lean, it's almost
It's not lean.
like by
It's
it's a
pathological.
it's a it's a
Even underneath
full
this,
on OCD.
it is even underneath this. So like the top shelf right
Mhm,
here, where you can see,
mhm.
is a hodgepodge, right?
Yeah.
But like the little units underneath are not. There's Crocodile Hunter, Defenders of the Earth, GI Joe, um, uh, Silverhawks. Like
Mhm.
each one of those units that you see underneath, each one of those are classified. So this just behind this one little, like, 8 foot.
You counter it. You counter it with some order
Right,
underneath
right,
that. That's like the episode of the Jetsons when or the Jetsons when Rosie starts to malfunction and she starts
right,
saying a place for everything and everything in its place. And she
right.
starts moving everything
That's me.
and
I'm
separating it by
malfunctioning. I'm the
category.
malfunctioning Rosie when it comes to my choice. So let's hear the opposite side of the spectrum. Like, you are so good at coming up with displays that look great, and they're not, like, they have a
um,
theme. Like, you have the symbiotes
mhm,
back there,
mhm.
right? But they're not all Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
They're a variety of things. So talk to me about, and you do have the Marvel Legends shelf, like, right, you
Yes.
know, if, if you were to walk 6 feet forward, directly to your right is your
Mhm.
Marvel Legends shelf.
Yeah, I like having. Yeah, I'm probably a little more general. I'm a lot more generalized about the way that I set things up on my shelving. A lot, even like today, a lot of my shelving is kind of a hodgepodge of stuff thrown together. Will this hold some figures? Great. Above my sink, I have a whole Ninja
Yeah,
Turtle scene
I
of people
love that
fighting.
bit. I love
Uh,
that little Ninja
and
Turtle scene.
that
And
kind of
even that's
comes
different
from,
lines. That's not all one
yeah,
line.
yeah, and that kind of comes from like my earliest days of collecting, where like I never had a full set of anybody, so I didn't really care where anyone went. I didn't
Mhm.
have dedicated shelving for any collections that I may have had. So from the time that I was young and still at home till almost, I want to say, my late college days, like right after I had graduated, a lot of my I never had like a dedicated shelf. It was a lot of toys on top of things. If I had like my computer desk was just covered in toys. My computer monitor
Right,
was just had toys on top of it. I used to save boxes not only because I liked them, but because they were stackable and I could make like a little pyramid and then stack
right.
the toys on top of that. Everything always kind of had to be together, so it never really entered my mind to separate them unless it was, say, like Marvel Legends and Transformers. Like those I would keep separate and only dependent upon how much room I had. So
Hmm.
now that I have more space, I have, I'm just a multi-tiered shelving unit that I again kind of Frankenstein together, because I bought two different shelving sets and just
Uh-huh.
kept building it up until it hit the ceiling. Uh, Full of all Marvel Legends, and even that there's some separations. I've got like I said, the cosmic level people are on top. The My X-Men villains are next. Then all of my X-Men people, my Spider-Man villains, Avengers, friends of Avengers, and then on the bottom it's just a
10 pals of the
yeah,
friends of
yeah,
Avengers.
buddies like, like Night Thrasher and Speedball are going to be. They don't get their own shelf. They're friends of this, no
You
matter
know,
despite how much
they
I
sound
love them.
like they Night Thrasher and Speedball sound like villains from like The Crow, like Skank and Fun Boy.
Speedball just a mile a minute. He also has to be recorded and then played back in slow motion to understand what he's saying. Um, but I kind of separate things based on how much I love said items. Like the Venom shelf, the Venom shelf, the symbiote shelf. I love Venom. I love the symbiotes. I love the ideas behind it. Even though it became a really abused concept, uh,
It did. It
I
really did.
yeah, I love all the different interpretations of them. I love as many as I can get. I will throw up there. And yeah, and now I'm starting to kind of go your route where I'm reaching into the more vintage lines. I forgot how many different versions of Venom they squeezed into all those silly toy lines.
Yeah,
Like
but they did the big ones. Remember, like the
yes,
purple guy with the wings, and like they had some
yep.
cool ones.
I always try and separate them based on that. Galactus is a little bit of a departure from what I normally do. Like I don't usually
Right. I
give them
like those.
dedicate
I
that
like
much
the
time.
floating shelves. I love
Hmm.
that bit.
Yeah, I was resistant to those for a while, but they really do the job. They do exactly what I want.
I
Uh,
was always hesitant because I didn't know they would hold the weight, but
mhm.
yours are holding up really well.
Yeah, I think as long as you don't put anything that's super heavy, like Galactus himself is never going to be able to stand on any of those floating shelves. But if you just I could probably put a whole row of heralds on there because I'm just ridiculously obsessed with Venom. Uh, Anything that comes out, or just about anything that comes out that is Venom related, especially after I kind of got back into Marvel Legends, I will collect. I will toss into the Venom collection, and now I'm starting to kind of backtrack and get some of the more weird uh, versions of Venom that came out in the Toy Biz line. Like I already managed to recollect the that really cool. I think you mentioned him earlier, the vampire Venom or the vamp.
Right. Yeah, that one's cool. And his
He's really
wings
neat.
would flap, right?
Yes, I kind of want to get a second version of him, because you remember the original packaging where they showed off him and the lizard. He's supposed to
Yep.
be black, and it's interesting that they went with the weird kind of like blood maroon almost, as
Yeah.
opposed to the original intended scheme. I kind of wonder what the thought process behind that was.
Probably so it
Uh,
didn't look like Venom.
Yeah, they wanted something different, something new, something a little weird. But yeah,
Right.
I would like to acquire kind of all the weird Toy Biz versions of Venom, especially the where he's like a hot rod greaser from the 50s. He has a weird like greaser jacket, and he's got the Venom motorcycle to
Right.
beat all the other hot rods.
He's
But my
hanging out at Al's diner.
yeah, just causing a ruckus, being a
Hmm.
real causer of riffraff. Um, but my collection of my setups and my displays tend to one, it's kind of based on like what I'm hyper focused on at the moment. Years ago
Right.
when I was at a different apartment, I lived in Jersey. My setup was pretty different from what I've got going on right now. Like my main displays are the Marvel Legends, the Venom. Uh, Whereas back then, Blackest Night was happening in DC. So
Right. And you went on a lanterns thing.
I was obsessed with getting every single Green Lantern possible, and the DC line had listened and they were cranking them out. So not only were we getting the DC superheroes line from Mattel, we were getting stuff from DC Direct, and they were putting out stuff like they made Atrocitus first, they made Larfleeze first, um,
Hmm.
and I needed all those. So I Oh, you know what? I will actually post some of these pictures to the Twitter account. I
Oh,
had
great.
a ridiculous display of all the Green Lanterns
Mhm.
from both lines, and I didn't. I tend not to care like what company made what. I tend to display based on category.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you're good like that. And I want to hear about your battle scenes, like that play shelf scene. Like, how do you decide who fights who? And like,
it's very random. It's whoever. A lot of it is who came into my collection most recently.
mhm.
If it's news like the Transformers shelf right now, it's got the PulseCon exclusive version of Galvatron when he's in like mid transformation. It's got the I think the War for Cybertron, Megatron. I don't remember which version of Prime that is that he's fighting with, but
It's a cool one.
there's also Needle Nose, who is new in Legacy. There is Cosmos, who popped up in the Velocitron set from Walmart. Like a lot of them are just characters that just happen to come out most recently, and they fit into that display. So I had them
Right.
around. I had them open, so I threw them up there.
I
Um,
want to see like because you do mix so well, but you seem to find ones that actually work aesthetically
mhm.
together. Like you described a couple of weeks ago with your plunderlings like it's like they're like gargoyle toddlers running around and you matched colors. And then you had like Tigra and the
Mhm.
Tiger Force. So
Yes,
aesthetically they kind of matched.
a lot of
But like I wanted like you have you ever done like your little battle beasts like
mhm.
tying Metlar down like the land of Lilliput? Like
Yeah, a lot of a lot of that kind of stuff just comes from me being ridiculous. Uh, if it's a silly joke, like right now I still have that
right.
one Plunderling
That's
hanging out with.
that's what my display lacks. Whimsy. You have whimsy. I don't.
I'm not sure if that's good or bad. It's different. I like, and it's kind of funny because I will just randomly apply it to whatever I think happens to work or whatever will just amuse me. Uh,
Right.
like right now, Thalog is still hanging out with that little Plunderling.
Right.
They're
See,
gonna be buddies no matter what.
even my random display behind me isn't as
Mhm.
random as it looks like because like Usagio has
uh,
to be near Samurai Jack, right? Because they're
See, I like that combination because
yeah,
they have a loose amount of things that are in common with each other. Like I
right.
would love to see
And that's
Usagi
how
with
big a rabbit. That's how
Samurai
big a
Jack.
rabbit would be. Right?
Yes, and actually, and that actually makes sense. Um, yeah, it's just yeah, a lot of it is just random and like whatever it tickles my fancy at the moment. Like my Marvel Legends display currently has a fair amount of Fortnite guys in it. Same
Yeah.
thing with GI Joe because I'll never have a shelf dedicated to just Fortnite.
Right.
What?
You know what? I love those 7-inch, and I haven't brought myself to do it yet.
Mhm.
So this is like my so many of the 7-inch, the McFarlane Fortnite guys, right,
Mhm.
look like Batman villains.
Yes, yes, they do.
So I'm trying to find the right Batman to pose. And I was discussing how I want to start doing like photography, like
Mhm.
posing and taking cool pictures of fight scenes and this and that. And a Batman kicking the crap out of all those Fortnite bad guys would be cool.
Mhm. Yeah, it's actually really neat. I saw and some stuff you find online that work out really well. Like I remember seeing someone when the Fortnite line was still relatively new, and White Rabbit had come out for Marvel Legends, and
Yeah, that's a great figure.
they put her with a bunch of the pink rabbit characters from Fortnite that were like they're wearing the bunny suits,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's brilliant. So now I've got a White Rabbit controlling a bunch of Fortnite bunny suit guys, but I also included who is it? There's a guy that has like an 8 ball, or not
Yeah,
an
yeah,
eight
yeah,
ball.
yeah. But
That
yeah.
yeah,
He's a 6-inch guy though.
yeah, he looks like a mercenary. So I have him with Kingpin. And I was like, this guy would absolutely work for
Yeah.
Kingpin and maybe wind up fighting Spider-Man and or Daredevil.
Well,
Uh,
I like doing that because I sent you pictures of like when I
mhm.
got Crocker there.
Yes. Oh, he looks so good. What a great figure.
I sent pictures with Crocmaster from GI
Mhm.
Joe with his crocodile, but immediately after
Oh, you
they got put
separated
back in
them,
their homes. Yeah.
and they stare at each other longingly from
So now
across the room.
Crocker's hanging out here, but he's going in the glass shelf like
Okay,
outside there. Yeah, that's it. That'll
okay.
be his
That's
final home. But he's going to be sitting with. See this. So I'm starting to get like I want to pose him
mhm.
with the big man thing
Yeah.
that I showed a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Like
so that would look really cool.
living in the
But
swamp together. Like I
mhm.
think that would be like I think they would look good together. So
Yeah, and
I'll
they
send you
work well
pictures when I do
aesthetically.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Yep. Yeah, and I think with some of my displays, it will depend on how well they mesh together. Like for example, I have unfortunately sitting in a bin somewhere the entire just about the entire Mattel's Hot Wheels Attack Pack series. I love that line. They are amazing. They are cars that have
yeah. They
animal
are
teeth.
cool.
I love them. I don't think I would cross them with anything. Maybe Transformers, but probably not. Like if I were to display those, I would want them by themselves in their own, like kind of like in their own separate thing.
Oh, you'd be
Um,
channeling your Dana.
yeah, I because I wouldn't be able to think of anything. I mean, maybe something would pop up, but I doubt it. Uh, if something fits the motif of what I have in the display, I'll add to it. Like right now, my GI Joe setup, they're all they're most it's all the Cobras,
Cobras.
but also for a group that's like the Dreadnoks, who are just a bunch of weirdos. I have oh, who did I put in there? I forgot the name of the secondary. There's a Fortnite guy that I tossed in there, but I also made it a point to add there's a female character that has like the giant messed up bear head,
Yes.
and then the rest of her is just like punk do. And I was like, well, there's Zorana's best friend, who's weird, who hangs
Right.
out with the
Of course,
Dreadnoks, because of
would
course
wear a
she
bear
would.
head. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's hanging out with them until I one day get Zorana from GameStop, who are being just as bad as Target about
Right.
fulfilling a pre-order. But
Right. I think
I
GameStop's days are numbered, but
they've long since passed. Just
yeah.
waiting for them to curl up and die. Um, but yeah, a lot of it is just would this fit here? Great, in you go.
Right.
I don't pay too much attention to as long as it's not completely ridiculous, or if they fit in with the theme. Like again, the Venom shelf. Like I have the Toy Biz stuff. I have the Disney toy box. Some of those, like the Carnage, the Spider Hulk. Those are there, but not because they fit in aesthetically, just because they are Venom characters. So that's where they go.
Right. I still think as we're closing this out that I do think about this more often than I probably should. But I I am saddened by the fact that you have a vast, like expansive and impressive collection, and you don't have this space. And I know you love them. You love them all. And I am saddened, and I discuss this with other people that how saddened I am that you don't have the space to display all of
it's
your stuff.
it has always been kind of the bane of my existence. No matter how large of a domicile I may move into, uh, without fail, I will overfill as far as like the collection goes. It's always a rotation of whatever happens to be on the shelving versus okay, time for a change, and then X
Right.
amount of stuff goes into a bin, and then more stuff comes out. I feel like every collector kind of has to fight with this. Like the biggest change that I made was not too long before we started doing this was removing the Transformers display in favor of Galactus,
Right. Well,
because
such a
that's
great display. But your
yeah, like I
Transformers are cool too. You have an impressive collection of Transformers.
yep, and I as I get new ones, I swap them out. So even now, there's a bunch of Transformers that I love and would love to put on, would love to have them out on the shelving. There's just no room.
Yeah.
I would need that house that you were talking about that just had the ever expanding rows and rows of shelving. Oh, I will put this in the Twitter feed as well, because I remember seeing this a few months ago of a
Oh,
it
so I
looked like
guess
it
I have
was
to send you pictures of stuff, my collection, right?
yes, absolutely. Send me pictures and I'll throw them up on the Twitter feed, because
Yeah.
people should see your collection. It is
Well,
very
they've
impressive.
seen a little bit because we've done some episodes
Mhm.
down there.
Uh, there was a I guess I don't know if it was like a Zillow or Redfin listing of a house that was like in the middle of nowhere, and it looked like one of those like college professor houses that had that kind of like using a ladder to get to whatever bookshelf,
Right.
but it was just all empty, and it was amazing
You
seeing
did
this
show me pictures.
property.
You did show me
Yes,
pictures of that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's my dream house.
My
That is
dream
my
is
dream
still
house.
for you and I to buy one of the. So I told you, like a bunch of middle schools in
Mhm,
Duplin County
mhm,
closed, and then they expanded on the elementary school to include middle school and made one, mega school.
mhm.
And those middle schools stand empty. I want us to buy a middle school, and then we can each have a wing. Like, oh, you know what? I'm going down to the second grade wing where we keep all the Transformers. Like,
It's now known as the Transformer Wing.
right,
We will learn about Cybertronian history and why Megatron and Optimus Prime hate each other.
right. That's the way to do it. So that's the plan.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And we'll charge admission.
Yeah, yeah. Or not, or just not let people in.
That would work
Like,
too.
like my basement display. Nobody sees it.
For your eyes only.
Right. And I need lights. I know what's on the shelf. I still want lights so I can see it better.
Absolutely. I think having that I like the idea of having the LED strips, because that would be really cool, especially it because then you can change the way that they're set up, or like what angle they're on. So you could literally change the lighting of those shelving and give a different
Right.
give like a different mood for each shelf depending on what you want. You could add different colors to it. This I like this. I now want to see this happen.
All right. I'm on it. I'll get my people on it. I have to recruit some people first, but
Sounds good. So, if listeners and watchers, if you would like to be one of Dana's people to go and help set up some LED lights, get a hold of us on Twitter. Show us your displays. I think that would be really cool to see how everyone has their stuff set up. You
that
can
would be
get a
cool.
you can get a hold of us on Twitter at Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number two, no G after the talking, or send pictures to Gmail. That would also work out. Our Gmail account is our Gmail account name is Two Guys Talking Toys. The number two, no G after the talking. Uh, this has been fun again. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
it's good
I enjoyed
times.
this conversation. Get a hold of us. Take care, everybody.